Hi everyone, you're on the Silver Screen Scope channel, and today we'll tell you about the movie Boss Level. Never give up. Get comfortable, and let's get started. Meet Roy Pulver. He's been stuck in a time loop 139 times already. Wake up and sing. It's time to get up. And every time someone kills him, restarting the whole thing. He's memorized all this guy's movements, even the minigun bullet trajectories. And after the helicopter crashes into the house, he jumps out the window and lands on a passing truck below. He manages to get into it on his 22nd try, though. Roy grabs the car and the chase continues. According to his plan, a bus is supposed to crash into the killer's car, but he forgets exactly when it'll appear, so he crashes into it instead. So here comes another attempt. Each time he's getting better at surviving. But he keeps running into more and more new killers. No matter how hard he tries to change things, it's always the same. He dies. I don't like your tone. His hope is Gemma, who works for a top-secret organization. But the colonel says she's already dead, supposedly in an accident. But their conversation is interrupted by two brothers, and now Roy's goal is to find out what happened to his wife. It all starts with another chase, after which Roy goes to Jake and asks for 2 bottles. Meanwhile, Dave starts rambling about terrorist attacks. But after a few drinks, Roy tells everyone about all his deaths, which just makes everyone laugh. Wow, you're something else, dude. Buddy. Have you ever thought of getting help? But it was all just a short break because every day at 12:47, he gets killed. They kill me for reasons unknown. And he's never managed to last any longer. Now we jump to the previous day, before the loop started. Roy comes to his wife, and she asks why his phone isn't working. But Roy gives his resume to Dave's squad. And she starts asking him a bunch of questions. He had no idea everything was being bugged, and the colonel is listening right now. Gemma says this machine is capable of destroying space and time. But that's not all. It could erase everything in this world if used carelessly. After these words, the head of security comes over to them, and Roy asks her to tell their son about him. It's important to me that he knows Gemma. But Gemma says there's no point, because he's more interested in fighting than living with them. Suddenly, Brett comes in and says, they don't have any openings right now, and the colonel is already waiting for Gemma. What an asshole. But as soon as he leaves, Gemma says there really aren't any spots in the Delta department. But she has a spot for herself, and this mission is top secret. The colonel says there's something in his resume, and tells Brett to keep an eye on him. And as soon as he starts to get in the way, he'll have to be eliminated by hiring outsiders. Meanwhile, Gemma is in her office cutting a lock of hair. And she asks Roy to change and whispers Osiris to him several times. Remember this, Osiris? The colonel starts interrogating Gemma, asking what caused all the work delays and why she's breaking safety protocols. These facilities must never be disclosed under any circumstance. Then he starts telling his story. The point is, he'd rather kill a human than an animal. And sometimes an act of aggression is an act of love. There are no past personalities from a previous life. But later in the evening, Roy is again at the bar. One of the girls says he still loves someone. And that touches Roy. Suddenly the phone rings. It's Gemma on the line. She says she needs to take drastic action. And if something happens, he must do what he has to do. But she had no idea they were being bugged again. Because of this, the colonel orders her to be found. This is how Roy's time loop began. On the 141st try, he tries to figure out what Osiris means. It leads him to a gaming club. Sitting on a bench, he tries to pick up on something, looking for any kind of clue. What kind of gift is this, seriously? On the back, he finds a card from Gemma, which ends with the phrase, Time spares no one. Then he suddenly spots his son. He tries to catch up to him, which brings him to a computer hall. Hey, wow, you've grown so much. Roy tells him not to skip school, and that he won't say anything if his son tells what he bought from that guy. It's a card RPG. I traded it from that guy. After that, they go to get sushi together. But as Roy walks by a girl, her computer starts glitching. Outside, he checks the time. Turns out he's lived 3 minutes longer than usual. He just needs to figure out how it happened. He realizes he was on the surface all this time, which allowed the tracker to freely transmit data about him. But as soon as he went underground, the signal was lost. But the killers are already here. He grabs his son so they won't be killed. Before dying, he admits he is the father. For a split second, I saw love on my son's face. In the next loop, he tries to find out how they're tracking him, but doesn't get a clear answer. Because of all this, Ray ends up at Jake's cafe, where he asks Dave about possible trackers. They come up with the idea that the tracker might have come back, or that it might be in a tooth. He immediately remembers the dentist appointment, where the Colonel's bodyguard was also present. He asks Jake for pliers to find the right tooth. He pulls out each one and shows them to Dave one by one, who points out the suspicious tooth. But then a killer arrives, starting attempt 145. See you soon, Dave. He finds out from a girl that Brad ordered the wiretap. After that, he goes back to the cafe and removes the tracker, which he now uses as bait. And the first one is Pam. And she's just the beginning. Are you going to kill me? I'll just shoot you. Now he's the hunter. After eliminating all the threats, Roy grabs the phone and tells Brad he's coming for him. He's got the idea to ram through the wall, but it only brings him back to attempt 46. This time he's able to fly over the wall and blow up the car. After that, a new attempt begins. You won't get rid of me that easily, freak. This time he decides to disguise himself as Roy number 2 and sneaks inside, which turns out to be very easy for him. But in the elevator, he needs to swipe a card to go further. But by this time, it's already not working. So attempt 148 starts. And only by 150 does he finally reach the Colonel's office, where Guan Yin is already waiting inside. Roy remembers a scene from Indiana Jones, where the enemy faced the gun and immediately died. He thought it would go just as well for Roy. But he's out of bullets, so a new trial begins to defeat Guan Yin, who seems impossible to shoot. But in one of the attempts, the Colonel appears and kills him personally. But during the conversation, Roy also learns what Osiris is. Gemma managed to start the mechanism. That's why Roy became Osiris. Her main goal is for Roy to stop the Colonel, and she believes he can do it. At the cafe, he asks to be taught how to use a katana, but the woman says they only have a day for training. She didn't realize that this day could last for eternity. It took him 50 tries, not only to fight back, but also to defeat Guan Yin. Suddenly, a guard runs in. He ends up with the rest. A fight starts, after which the Colonel says, "If Roy is here, then who can protect his son? If you've come this far to kill me, who will save him?" He immediately rushes back, but it's too late. This starts the end of the world, which plunges him into depression. But eventually he pulls himself together. You'll take action. He goes to his son. He decides to spend all his time with him. You won again. Of course I'm the best. He realizes that all this time he's been doing something wrong, and that his happiness was always next to him. But every time, the flywheel explosion interrupts everything. In one attempt, his son says Gemma called him at 7:03. That's when Roy woke up. He realizes that he still has a chance to save her. He manages to sneak into the lab center Before dealing with the enemies, he checks the time of the murder, 7:14. That means he has a whole 10 minutes to save her. He hijacks a helicopter and lands it on the Union's roof. On the cameras, Roy sees the killers walking down the same corridor. So he gets the idea to use a minigun. Exactly a minute before Gemma's death, he bursts into the office. Gemma asks how many tries he had. And Roy answers, only one. Gemma says Roy has to enter the flywheel. And only then, in theory, will it stop. As soon as he steps into the flywheel, multiple versions of Roy merge together. Something begins to flicker in his eyes. But what happened to the world, we'll never know. And that was Silver Screen Scope. Write what or who you'd like to see in the next episode. We'll be back very soon. Goodbye.